And good evening. We begin tonight with the tale of two cities, both rebuilding from Mother Nature's fury. We in West Alabama know all too well what a monumental undertaking it has been recovering from the deadly April 27th tornado. Businesses wiped off the map, homes brought down to mere rubble. Meanwhile, up in Joplin, Missouri, the same story after a deadly tornado struck that city on May 22nd. We will have this story coming up in just a little while from now. Meanwhile, safe rooms and storm shelters have been heavy on the minds of residents of West Alabama since the tornado outbreak last April. And now some communities could receive federal grant money to make those shelters reality. FEMA is supplying the grants. The state originally received about $80 million for storm shelters to be built in communities across Alabama. However, FEMA continues to change that amount, so not every community who applied for grant money will get it. Representative John Merrill says deciding where the shelters will be built is the hard part.
The merits of each individual project, what the cost-benefit analysis is, and how that can reflectively initiate what projects need to be encouraged and which ones might not be as high priority.
Leaders with the Tuscaloosa County school system are also looking to install safe rooms at schools. According to the school Systems Director of Operations and Construction, David Sellers, FEMA and the Tuscaloosa County EMA asked him to come up with the top 3 schools of priority. Sellers said that they are Holt, Crestmont, and Flatwoods Elementary. FEMA will provide 75% of funds, while Tuscaloosa County will spot the remaining 25%. In tonight's Home Team Education Watch this evening, a shakeup in the hunt for the interim superintendent of Tuscaloosa County school system. One person's dropped out, while 2 more have been added to the list of candidates. According to the school board attorney Ray Ward, a total of 6 people are now being considered for that position. This comes after Richard Gardner, former superintendent at Sheffield City Schools, withdrew his name from consideration. Ward says Dan Butler, former superintendent of Hell County, and Neil Heiss, former Tuscaloosa County superintendent, are now on the list of candidates. They join Vonda Beatty, former superintendent of the Walker County Schools, Carlton Smith, who was the superintendent of the Vestavia Hills School System, G. Stifler, former superintendent of the Calhoun County School System, and Joe Walters, former superintendent of the Tuscumbia City Schools. Word says the board will interview interim candidates Thursday, February 9th. Today, thousands of people did their part and contributed to organizations around the state. It was all part of Alabama Gives Day, and WVUA's Matt McCoy joins me now to tell me how today's Day of Giving gave back to Tuscaloosa and one Tuscaloosa family recovering from April storms. Matt?
That's right, John. You know, the Sather family is just one family that was affected by the deadly storm in April, still trying to pick up the pieces to rebuild their lives. United Saints was funded in New Orleans following Hurricane Katrina. Their mission to help communities recover from natural disasters. Today's project went hand in hand with the Alabama Gives Day. WVUA spoke with one volunteer who says today is just her way of giving back. You know, you can make a donation to one of the 800 nonprofits in Alabama. The goal is to raise as much money as possible in the 24 hours. It's an historic day of giving to help people in need, organized in part by the Alabama Association of Nonprofits. Today, several nonprofit organizations set up at Tuscaloosa's Midtown Village with information on how your donations can help make a difference in the lives of people in West Alabama. You still have a couple of hours to make that donation. The deadline is at midnight. For a shortcut, just go to WVUATV.com, click numbers and links, and you can also make a donation over the phone to Alabama Gives. All you have to do is call 888-466-4777. Now, Alabama Gives Day is also sponsored by the Alabama Broadcasters Association and the Razoo Foundation. John?
Okay, Matt, thank you. From the city of Northport tonight, one man is dead after police say he was hit by an SUV. According to Lieutenant Kerry Card with the Northport Police Department, 53-year-old McKinley Young Jr. was hit around 9:30 Wednesday night. Card says it happened at 5th Street and 22nd Avenue in Northport while Young was attempting to cross the street. No charges have been filed, but the incident is still under investigation. Now to Montgomery, where the Republican leader of the Alabama Senate helped pay legal bills of a senator acquitted during Alabama's gambling corruption trial. Senate President Pro Tem Del Marsh of Anniston filed a campaign finance report showing he gave $5,000 from his campaign fund to a legal defense fund for Democratic Senator Quentin Ross of Montgomery. Marsh said he contributed after Ross's acquittal because he wanted to help him through a difficult period in his life. Two Democratic senators also reported giving smaller donations of campaign money to help Ross's defense fund, and those donations were smaller in monetary value. In Washington, leaders gathered as a part of the annual prayer breakfast. The event has been going on nearly 60 years, and it is a way to stress how faith and values are intertwined in making good decisions. Alabama Senator Jeff Sessions spoke, where he talked about mixing faith and government.
I think we've all had two different experiences of what can happen when we bring faith into the world of government and business. Sometimes it creates conflict, and when we look at our planet's history, even wars. But at other times, more often really, true faith can be a reconciling force of amazing power, a power that can make an entire society better.
Meanwhile, back on Capitol Hill, Alabama Senator Richard Shelby spent his day addressing Congress. Shelby submitted an amendment to a bill that would make the requirements the same for both the legislative and executive branches when it comes to reporting certain financial transactions. According to Shelby, this would ensure that access to confidential information is not used for personal gain. Shelby says his amendment brings equity among the two branches.